guess we're live. I'm live, you're live, we're all live all the time. So similar class to yesterday, if you were here, we are going to do a shoulder stand again today. And yesterday I was trying to give options for those of you at home who might not have a lot of props. So whatever props you do have, try to collect them now. Generally, I find that the more kind of intention I bring to my space before the practice, the easier it is to settle into the moment. So yeah, take the time to roll out your mat if you have not already. Gather your props round, I was definitely taking it easy yesterday because, as I mentioned, my stomach's bothering me a little bit. But woof, I'm sore today. So I had a Matt reach out, who was taking the class yesterday, who said he was also sore. I'm sore in my shoulders. He mentioned being more sore in his legs. But anyway, I was thinking about this being sore, and when I used to teach larger numbers of people and have less frequent students, a lot of people would come back to class because they said, "Oh, I was so sore last week, so I really wanted to come back." And just thinking of like why we associate being sore with having a good practice. And I think it kind of relates to this idea that I bring up throughout the class of doing the pose and then letting the pose resonate. So doing the pose, notice what's happening in the immediate aftermath of the pose. But then the soreness is kind of like this further residual impact in the body. So the soreness, although sometimes unpleasant, is like a validation of you having done something out of the realm of what you usually do, which is something that I think we want in our practice, and we want in our lives. We want results. We want proof of change. So that's, I think soreness is something that we kind of like for that reason. Most people, even my friend was saying, "Oh, it's not a bad soreness, it's a good soreness." So hopefully, let's create some good soreness here on our mats today. So without further ado, I'm going to turn on this podcast recording. And we will begin today's practice in Virasana, or hero's pose. So again, props nearby. Bring the knees together, angle your shins apart, press the tops of the feet into the mat or the floor. Grab hold of the calf muscles, pull them back and apart as you take a seat between your heels. So immediately, if your knees are objecting to this seat in any way, then experiment with some different heights underneath your hips. Maybe it's a blanket, maybe it's a block, maybe it's a block and blanket combination. So as much height as you need underneath the hips to alleviate pain in the knees. There might also be an uncomfortable stretch on the front of the ankles and the tops of the feet. So that can be minimized with a blanket underneath the knees and shins. So we will be here for our initial check-in for several minutes. So get those things that help you feel settled and supported in this shape. And then once you have found a good shape to reside in, a supportive shape, close your eyes. I laugh because I'm trying to stay away from these value judgments, the idea that something is good or bad in the practice. It's hard habit to break. Okay, when you are ready, place the hands on the thighs. Notice the body. What do you notice? Perhaps there's a general experience of the body, one of hyperactivity or of low energy. Perhaps there's specific regions of discomfort or soreness. Jot down some mental notes about what you're experiencing at this moment upon entry into the practice. And then find some acceptance around what you are experiencing. Again, getting away from this evaluation of this moment being good or bad, the body being being good or bad. Settle down through the legs and hips, recognizing all of those spaces where the body is making contact with the surfaces below. Energetically root down. And from that energetic connection with the earth, draw up. Grow tall along the spine. You might shrug the shoulders up towards the ears, lengthening the sides of the body. Keeping the sides of the body long, you might shrug the shoulder blades together behind the heart, settling the shoulder blades together, and then down the back side of the chest as the forearms melt earthward. Lengthen along the back of the neck, grow tall through the crown of the head. Create a gentle contraction of the upper abdominal muscles, drawing them in, pulling them back, lengthening the lower spine towards the floor. Become aware of any expression on the face. So often we may be expressing something in our bodies, in our faces specifically, that we were not aware of feeling, we were not aware of expressing. So notice where the tension lies. Again, approach this observation with acceptance, with curiosity, rerouting away from evaluation. And then upon recognition of said tension, is it possible to soften the features of the face? Turn your attention to your breath. Direct breath in and out through the nostrils. Draw in a gentle contraction at the back of your throat if you would like to transition to the practice of Ujjayi Pranayama, the triumphant uprising breath. Congestion, it always is a possibility when we come to our pranayama, our breath focus. And I know from my own experience, it can be a really frustrating time to practice breath work. So even prime opportunity to again recognize the qualities of the breath and approach what is with acceptance. As always, easier said than done. So perhaps if you are in that experience of having congestion, a difficulty breathing, rather than being attached to the outcome of changing the breath or alleviating that discomfort, perhaps we just remain open to the possibility of change. Perhaps the next breath will be different. Please bring your palms together in front of your heart. Press your palms lightly in as you widen your elbows out and broaden the collarbones. We'll chant Om 3 times before beginning the moving practice. Exhale. And inhale, let me hear you. First to 3 Oms. Bow your head to your heart. Release palms to thighs. Then slowly lift your head as you open your eyes. Okay, move forward onto the knees. You might remove padding as you swing your feet out to the right, taking a seat down on the left hip, on the mat, or onto some padding. The right hip is going to lift up. Left hand behind you, right hand crosses to the left thigh. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, begin to revolve. Bottom to top, inside to outside, right to left. Breathe the shape. And notice the effects of the breath. How do you experience the pose with the inhale? What do you notice? What are the possibilities? And then how does that change with the exhalation? Let's inhale, come back through center, counter twist. Keep the knees together, swing the feet out to the left, taking a seat on the right hip, on the mat, or on a prop. Right hand behind, left hand crosses to right thigh. Inhale, tall. Exhale, revolve. Left to right, bottom to top, inside to outside. Pick the shape. And inhale will bring you back through center and counter twist. We're going to come forward into the table. Wrists below your shoulders, spread fingers, open palms, knees are hip width. Inhale, belly and chest down, tailbone and gaze lift into your cow, contracting the back body. Exhale, round the spine, chin to chest, tailbone towards the floor, belly button towards the ceiling. Push the floor away to open up the upper back. Cat pose and inhale, cow. Exhale, cat with the pace of your own breath. Using this early on synchronization of breath and movement to explore the range of motion of the spine. I often like to remind you during this sequence that every time you come to your practice, there is the opportunity for exploration and discovery. So good time to be reminded of beginner's mind. So how do you approach the practice with curiosity, with the possibility of change? If you'd like, you can start to modify these movements based on what you are hearing in your body, what you are experiencing. You might pause in one shape or the other. You might start to bring more movement to the hips or bend the elbows down. And eventually work your way to a neutral table once again. Place the right palm below the face, left hand to the back of your skull. Inhale, open the chest towards the left, elbow and gaze point skyward. Exhale and curl in, elbow towards the wrist, shoulder blades apart. Inhale, open left. Exhale, curl in 2. Inhale, open left. Exhale, curl in 3. 2 more. Inhale, open left. Exhale, curl in 4. Inhale, open left. And exhale, curl in 5. Left hand below the face, right hand to the back of the skull. Inhale, open right, gaze up, elbow up. Exhale, elbow towards the wrist. 1. Inhale, open right. Exhale, curl in 2. Inhale, open right. Exhale, curl in 3. Inhale, open right. Exhale, curl in 4. Inhale, open right. And exhale, curl in 5. Take the knees back, maybe 6 to 8 inches, and walk them an inch or 2 further apart. Tuck the toes under, tilt the tailbone up as though doing cow pose in the lower spine. Look forward and start to walk your hands forward. Spread the fingers and the palms for puppy dog pose. So we did this shape last week as well. If you'd like, grab the outer edges of the mat, push the outside edges of the mat away from the body as you reach the inner upper thighs back and apart, spiraling the inner thighs back and apart to broaden the pelvis, contract the low back, melt the heart, draw the shoulder blades together. Breathe. What, where, how are you feeling in this moment? Do some, attempt some unbiased journalistic reporting on your body in this shape. Just for you. Inhale, shift forward and come to lie on your back. If you have a traditional strap, that can be used. If you have a towel, if you have a elastic band, that can be used too. So we're going to come to some reclined hand to big toe pose sequence. We're going to start with the right foot on the floor and the left knee drawn in and up towards the chest for half wind removing pose. Interlace the fingers in front of the shin, pull the knee in and up towards the left armpit, squeeze it in. Notice where, what, how is your body affected by this shape? What is the reaction emotionally or mentally to this shape? Okay, take the foot, shin perpendicular to the floor, come into half happy baby, grabbing the outside edges of the foot, possibly interlacing the fingers. Kick the foot into the hand and then gently pull the knee down. Push and pull. And you may extend the right leg straight. Reach forward through the heel and then perhaps release the weight of the leg down. Perhaps push the heel and the calf down towards the floor. Perhaps push the thigh down towards the floor. Come back to the breath as you hold this shape. And now bring right foot back to the floor. Take the strap around the left foot. Hold the strap with two hands as you reach the heel straight out, lengthening along the back of the legs, pulling back through the toes. As the back of the left leg lengthens, tone the top of the leg, pulling the kneecap up, engaging the quadricep muscles. And now extend the right leg straight out in front of you. So that might cause the left leg to dip down a little bit. Ground the right heel, reach through the right foot. Keep both hips on the floor, and then start to lift the left leg any higher. Moving towards a 90-degree angle, possibly walking the hands closer to the foot. If it's possible, take hold of the foot. I like to keep the head and shoulders resting down for this first one. So if it's strenuous for the upper body to grab the foot, you might just use the strap. Okay, and as I mentioned yesterday, this idea of the possibility of working with an elastic strap in this shape, which I have not done, but I've only heard about. But I'm imagining what it would be like to use an elastic strap in this scenario. So there is a slight resistance with the strap, but there's also this possibility of expanding into that resistance, more so than with a cloth strap. So imagine that your strap is more pliable, more flexible, and now extend through the foot up into that pliable resistance. For me, so much of the experience of the pose is how I'm approaching it. Not what the pose looks like on the outside, but what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, how I'm perceiving what is happening in the pose. So explore the sensation in this moment. Even if you did this yesterday, recognize that today is a new day. There's new nuances to the experience of this moment. So perhaps you move the leg a little closer after this inspection, but you might also find that after pushing through the foot for this last minute or so, that the leg needs rest. So you might back off. Work with the body in your practice rather than against it. Okay, pass the strap into the left hand or the foot into the left hand. I like to take the right hand to the right thigh, push the right thigh, right hip towards the floor, and then gradually widen the left leg out to the left. So now there's this extension along the inside of the left leg. Where do you feel this extension most acutely? Bring your awareness to that area. And now, again, consider the idea of an elastic strap. So push into that resistance that will grow, that will expand with your effort. Does that change the experience along the inside of the leg? And then where are you pushing most through the sole of your foot? Is it the heel? Is it the inside of the foot? Is it the outside of the foot? All of those little details will change the experience. Are you breathing? Bring the left leg back to center, pass the strap or the foot into the right hand. Left arm extends out to left. And then ease the left leg over to the right, stacking the hips. Spiral the right shoulder, the right ribs back towards the floor. Widen the left ribs, left shoulder back towards the floor. Widen the left hip away from the face. So this can be done energetically from the inside of the body. If you want help, assistance in that expansion, you can bring the left thumb to the crease, the space where the leg meets the hip, and then push or ease the hip gently away using pressure of the thumb into that crease. That might not be necessary. Often this pose is pretty, brings up a lot of stuff already, so you might not need more stuff. More stuff might just cause you to zone out, to lose the moment. Come back to breath. Push into that elastic band. Bring the left leg back to center. Re-square the hips. Remove the strap. Wrap the hands behind the left leg, fingertips pointing towards the heel. And now peel the head, neck, and shoulders up away from the floor, pulling the leg towards the forehead, tucking the chin towards the chest. Belly button in towards the spine, right leg extends forward, heel perhaps grounds down. Slide the fingertips up towards the heel, round the back body for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower down, and good job, left leg. Left foot to the floor, right knee in and up towards the armpit. So when we're moving pose, right side, or draw the knee in and up, squeeze it in. Take some breath. Take some notes. Transition to half happy baby. Sole of the foot skyward, interlace the fingers or grab the outsides of the feet. Push the foot into the hands, pull the knee down, pushing and pulling, dynamic tension, and either choose to stay here in this expression of happy baby or extend the left leg straight. Heel comes down. If that's enough, don't listen to the next thing I say. Heel comes down, maybe calf comes down, maybe thigh comes down. Return to breath. Might check back in with the face. Is there some inadvertent expression there? Might you gain some insight into your reaction to this pose by noticing your face? If you're grimacing through the whole practice, there's a possibility you're not really enjoying what's going on. And in that case, might it be that you're going too deep into the pose, you're going unnecessarily deep into the poses. Okay, left foot to the floor, strap around the right foot, extend the right leg, reach through the heel, pull back through the toes, lift along the front of the right leg. And now left leg extends out, heel down, calf down, thigh down to the best of your ability. Lengthen along the back of the right leg and then start to lift the leg. Reaching maybe that 90-degree angle. If that angle is easily achieved and you would like to move the leg closer, be sure to keep the right outer hip widening away from the right armpit. So instead of the heel turning out as the leg comes closer, keep the heel extending straight out, straight up. And again, is there a grimace in the face, reflecting a tension, a discomfort? Can you soften the face? If not, you might soften the expression of the pose. You might even take a break from the pose. Okay, after about a minute in this shape, is it possible or necessary to change the expression of the shape? Bring the leg closer, back off, walk the hands up, walk the hands back. So our progression in the shape might not always be going deeper. The progression might be, oh, I think it's time to back off. I think it's time for rest. Okay, pass the strap into the right hand or maybe the foot. Left hand grounds the hip or thigh. Widen the leg out to the right. Keep the left hip, left ribs, left shoulder wrapping back towards the mat. Stay broad across the front of the torso. And now listen to the inner right leg. Or if that's not where the sensation is concentrated, where is it concentrated? Is it bringing a grimace to your face? Imagine the elastic band around your foot. Expand into that pliable barrier. right leg back to center, pass the foot or the strap into the left hand, right arm out to the right. Ease the right leg over towards the left, stacking the hips. Revolving the right ribs, right shoulder back towards or to the mat. And now, what do you feel? What do you feel? Where do you feel? Do some investigative reporting. Be curious. You might do a little compare and contrast between the first side and the second side. And if you need more from this experience, you might bring the thumb to the right hip crease, push that hip crease away. You might imagine your band being elastic, push into that expandable boundary. Breathe. Forgot about that one. Okay, right leg back to center. Release the strap, re-square the hips, hands behind the right leg, fingertips pointing up towards the heel. Peel the head, neck, and shoulders away from the floor. Tuck the chin to the chest. Curl the spine. Pull the leg towards the forehead, keeping the left leg grounding or grounded. Chin to chest, forehead towards or to the knee. Reach up through the right foot. Pull belly button in towards spine. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower back down. OMG. Okay. We're going to do some leg lifts. Hands can either reside under the hips for the most support for the lower back, or arms at the sides, or arms overhead for the least support. Lengthen through the heels, squeeze the legs, lengthen through the tailbone, lower ribs in and back. Try to lengthen the low back towards the floor. Okay, as you exhale next, slowly lift the heels to a 90-degree angle. Inhale here, squeezing the legs, reaching through the heels. Exhale, lower the legs 1/3 of the way towards the floor and breathe. Squeeze the legs, reach through the heels, pull back through the toes, lift into the kneecaps, lower ribs in and back, head on the mat. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower the legs another 1/3 of the way. It will be harder, likely. Exhale, inhale, keep breathing in this shape. Is there a grimace? Can you turn it into a smile? You're going to be sore tomorrow. It's going to be great. And lower your heels just to a hover. It's going to be interesting. Reach through the heels, pull back through the toes, squeeze the legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Heels down, release the feet out. Do that again. Okay. Exhale, heels to 90. Inhale. Exhale, dip down 1/3 of the way. Breathe here. Choose to modify what your initial choice of hand position. And next exhale, dip down again 1/3 of the way. Grimace? Grimace, anyone? Turn it into a smile. Exhale down to 1/3. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. Whew. Okay, what do I want? I want to do a little counter pose to that. Okay, arms at your sides, feet parallel, knees are hip width distance. We're gonna come to just a little baby bridge pose. Push the feet down, lift the hips up, lengthen through the tailbone. Elongate the front of the hips, reaching through the knees. And lower the hips back to the floor. Draw the knees in towards the chest and start to gradually rock forward and back along the spine. A few times until you gain momentum to come up onto your feet and into a forward fold near the top of your mat. Lift and spread your toes. Place your feet hip width distance apart. Set down your toes, creating a wide base with your feet. Bend the knees, rest the torso on the thighs, hang forward, take hold of opposite forearms, wrist or biceps, and make some movement here. Encourage the upper body to release towards the earth. Maybe the upper body sways from side to side, maybe weight shifts forward and back in the feet, to the inside, to the feet, to the outside, to the feet, to the left, to the right. Head might shake yes and no. Identify tension, accept it, and through acceptance, may we move forward. Okay, fingertips to the floor in front of you. Push the feet down, lift the hips up, lengthen. Add to that the length you already cultivated through the release, and now extend actively the crown of the head towards the floor. Pull the shoulders up away from the ears so the sides of the neck are long, opening up the back body as you turn and you fold into your own body. Inhale, fingertips to the shins, half lift, shoulder blades on the back. Exhale, fold forward, fingertips on the floor or on a prop in front of you. Release the head. Inhale, sweep your arms out, up and overhead. Rise all the way to stand. Look up as palms touch. And then exhale, hands through heart center, arms to your sides. Arrive in your mountain. So notice the effect of going from a forward fold into this standing position. There may be some reorientation, some disorientation. Roll the shoulder blades back, or roll the shoulders back so the shoulder blades broaden. Palms open forward. Fingers extend downward, drawing the shoulder blades down the back. Tone the legs as you at once root down through the feet and draw up from the earth, up the legs, up the length of the spine, up through the crown of the head. With your next inhale, sweep your arms overhead, look up as palms touch. Exhale, flow forward. Fingertips to the floor or a prop, release the head down. Inhale, fingertips to the shins, half lift. Exhale and flow forward. Inhale, rise, grow tall, look up, reach up. Exhale, hands through heart center, roll the shoulders back, palms forward, Tadasana. Again, inhale, rise up, half sun citation A. Exhale, flow forward with the breath. Inhale, fingertips to the shins, rise halfway, shoulder blades on the back, heart forward. Exhale, fold in, release the head, hips high. Inhale, circle the arms, look up, reach up. Exhale, hands through heart center and arms to your sides. Okay, for the next sequence, you might take the inner feet together or place a block between your thighs. If you have two blocks, oh boy, you might take the second block between your hands. Okay, I might regret this because I got this big, heady cork block. I'm gonna put that one between my thighs. Okay, So we're going to do our awkward chair, pushing through awkward to get to fierce. So take your feet apart with the block between your thighs or place your inner feet together. Tone the muscles of your legs as though standing in Tadasana. Take your arms out in front of you, holding the block between your palms at its widest setting. Gently squeeze the block with the palms, reach through the fingertips to lengthen the arms, then plug the arms into the shoulder sockets. Of course, if you don't have a block, this can all be done without a block. Sweep the arms overhead and stay here. Inhale, grow tall, and exhale, slide your hips down an imaginary wall, sitting into your awkwardly fierce chair. Thighs parallel to the floor, weight in the heels. Look up, curl the arms up, and then stand up. That's 1 of 5. Exhale, sink the hips down, weight in the heels. Look up, curl up, reach up. Inhale, stand up. 2. Exhale, hips go down, weight shifts to the heels. Look up, reach up. Inhale, stand up. 2 more, last one we're going to hold. Exhale, sink the hips down. Inhale, stand up, pushing into the floor, reaching to the sky. 5th one we're going to hold. Exhale, sit down. Weight in the heels, squeeze the block or the thighs. Look up, reach up. Waistline back, hips low. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stand up. And release the hands block down. And release the thigh block down. Shoulder rolls. Forward, up, back, down. And shoulder rolls up, forward, down, back. Okay, do some swinging. Let the arms out. Pivot on the toes. Okie dokie. Take your feet out for goddess pose. Angle the toes out at about a 45-degree angle. Let's start today with the hands on the hips. Imagine the back body sliding down a wall as you bend the knees in the direction of the toes. Adjust the stance as the thighs go lower so that the heels are below your knees. Sweep your arms overhead. Exhale, left arm underneath your right arm. Grab palms or shoulders. Lift elbows up, forearms away from the face. Upper body back, lengthen the tailbone down. Reach for the inner thighs, weight in the heels, soften the face. Recognize that grimace. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten the legs, sweep the arms overhead. This time right under left. Palms together or grab shoulders, elbows lift, forearms away from the face. Slide the back body down an imaginary wall, tailbone down, extend through the inner heels, extend through the inner thighs, weight in the heels. Wrap the arms tightly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stand up. Sweep the arms up. Okay, last time. Elbows down, goalpost arm, knees bent, upper body back. Soft gaze. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I started standing up before 1. I saw myself. Okay, take your props in front of you on the mat. We're going to do our wide-legged forward fold. Step your feet wide apart. Turn your toes in just slightly. Hands on the hips, elbows point back. Tone the muscles of the legs, although pulling tight stockings on. Tilt the chin skyward, lengthen along the front of your torso, and then exhale, hinge at the hips. Place your wrists below your shoulders. Push your thigh bones back, lift your kneecaps up, lengthen the front of the torso, And then exhale, fold in. Walk your hands back and find some height underneath your head. So maybe it's a blanket, maybe it's not a blanket, maybe it's a block, maybe it's a series of props to get your head to a state of grounding. So have the head find some resistance with which to push into in order to make a more conscious connection with the back body. And as I was saying yesterday, for me, this is a pose where ego is coming into play pretty seriously. So there can be some ego attachment to getting the head on the floor, especially if your head has been on the floor and it is not there now. So rather than saying that's bad, I'm bad, this is bad, can we approach this moment, this shape, this expression with curiosity? Where am I feeling? What am I feeling? Maybe I feel more today than I've ever felt in this shape, which is a new experience. Opportunity for change, opportunity for growth, and that growth might not always be in this linear progression where the shapes, the poses get quote unquote deeper. Depth might not be measured by how close your head is to the floor. If you would like, you could shift weight onto the head, shift weight out of the feet, and float the legs up into a tripod headstand. Okay, walk your hands back below the shoulders. Hands to hips, elbows to the ceiling, draw back through the sides of the waistline. Come on back up, heel toe the feet in. Whew. Let's take the feet hip width distance. If you're really mimicking the hula hoop, you gotta take your hands up and then make those circles with the hips. Soft knees, soft ankles, and then the other direction. Okay, let's do one exercise before we explore our shoulder stand pose for today. I was going to say the Sanskrit word for shoulder stand. Well, I want to say Sarvangasana, but just haven't brushed up on my Sanskrit terminology lately. Okay, so we're going to do the pizza hold against the wall. So let's start with our left hand as is in fashion these days. So left hand to the wall at shoulder height. So first start by turning towards the wall and then start by revolving the chest, the upper body, the feet clockwise away from the wall. So put pressure of the left hand into the wall and feel the left shoulder draw onto the back of the chest. Take some breath, tall spine. And now right hand. Hold, pass the pizza to your right hand. right hand to the height of the right shoulder, pinky edge of the hand to the wall. From the wall, turn counterclockwise with the feet, with the hips, with the chest. Pushing the pinky edge of the hand into the wall to bring the right shoulder blade deeply onto the back of the chest. Stand tall. Keep breathing. Okay, back towards the wall. Do a couple shoulder rolls if you'd like. Do a little shimmy, shimmy, shake. Okay. Yeah, let's bring our mats to a undisturbed wall space. So if you have like a Pablo Picasso painting, like an original on this wall, then don't use that wall, or move the painting. I just laugh at Pablo Picasso because my 5-year-old daughter is just like a huge Pablo Picasso fan for some reason. I think because he painted a cat once. A lot of people painted cats though, so I'm not sure. Okay, so lots of unnecessary information there about my daughter. But here is some good information about shoulder stand. So as I was saying yesterday, if you were with me, that I really, I learned shoulder stand from an Iyengar teacher, and I have been doing shoulder stand in that way ever since. But I realized that that's maybe not the only way to do shoulder stand. That's just what I experienced early on and what resonated with me. So I'm going to give you that setup. Unfortunately, this setup requires props that many of us might not have. So I'm going to start with this setup, and then I'm going to experiment with some different setups for shoulder stand. So I'm bringing the short end of my mat to a wall. I have 2 yoga-style blankets, so the tightly woven blankets, and I'm going to place them one on top of the other. So they're folded. I think we call this the hamburger fold. So they're folded so that the fringe is away from the wall and the crease of the fold is towards the wall. Then I'm going to sit on my blankets and extend my legs to the wall. So I'm going to make sure that with my legs extended straight, my hips are, my butt is fully on the bolster, and the top third on the blankets, and the top third of my thighs are also on the blankets with my legs extended straight, feet at the wall. So that's a measure of how far I want to be from the wall when I come up for this shoulder stand. So from here, to grip in the shoulders better, I'm going to fold my mat over the blankets. And then if you have a strap is also a handy tool, a handy prop for this. I would take my strap around my arms, my upper arms, just above the elbows, and make the strap as wide as my shoulders so that my arms can be beside me or at my sides with the strap around them. So that's going to help me secure my shoulder blades on my back when I come up into shoulder stand. So with these props handy, I'm going to attempt my first shoulder stand. With my head towards the wall, feet away from the wall, I'm going to lie back on the blankets. Shift my head onto the floor and keep the shoulder blades on the blankets. So the tops of my shoulders are just a couple inches from the top of the blanket fold. Okay, and hopefully that makes sense, especially to those of you who don't have the visual aid who are listening to the podcast. Okay, so I'm going to have my strap in my right hand because I'm right-handed. So then I'm going to place my hands along my sides, maybe swing, get some momentum to swing, to get your feet to the wall. So that might take a little bit of doing,
getting the feet to the wall, lifting the hips up. Okay, so this is halasana or plow pose. This is also an inversion. Many of the same benefits, I would imagine, as shoulder stand. But now I'm attempting to get the strap up around the top of my arms, just above my elbows, and then I'm going to shimmy my shoulders underneath my back body so that the vertebrae of my upper back are completely lifted away from the floor, away from the padding. And with my head, with my shoulders up on the blankets, my neck is also elevated. So I also use the trick of interlacing my fingers and then tucking my shoulders underneath my back. Okay, so I can feel my shoulder blades together. Also, I can feel where this has made me sore from yesterday. Okay, so walk the feet up the wall so that the heels are at hip height. Then take the hands to the back body, pushing the hips up towards the ceiling. So ideally, the fingertips are pointing up towards the hips. And then legs move away from the wall one at a time. Tuck the chin to the chest, pull the chest towards the chin. And I noticed that in this, with this setup, with the two blankets underneath my shoulders, it's a lot easier to get my hips higher, my hips over my shoulders, my chest towards my chin. So this can be a pose that is held for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But that's not going to be the first time you do it. So the first time you do it, you might try to hold it for 30 seconds or a minute. And this is one, because you can bring the feet to the wall into halasana, this is kind of an inversion in itself. So I think for that reason, it's safe to go from halasana back up into shoulder stand without being jarred too much or without that low blood pressure, dizzy effect. So if that's your setup, work with that. If you don't have the blocks, I'm going to experiment with a way to use the mat to get more height underneath the shoulders. So also, we all have different kinds of mats. I have a pretty thick mat myself. There are thicker ones, but there are also thinner ones. So I'm folding my mat in half, and then in half again, trying to get some height with my blanket. So now my blankets, my mat has some height to it, but it's also pretty narrow. So I'm gonna back off and just fold it. I'm just gonna fold it twice, and then use the wall again in the same way. So now I'm measuring the distance of my legs from the wall, sitting up on my folded blanket. Or my folded mat, I should say, because that's what it is. And then I'm going to lie back, and this is much less height than the two folded blankets, but it is some nice padding underneath my shoulders. So this is very little support for the shoulder stand, but I'm going to attempt it anyway to be in solidarity with those of you who might not have yoga props. Okay, swing the legs to the wall, and I'm not using the strap this time either. I'm going to tuck my shoulder blades underneath my chest by interlacing my fingers strongly and reaching my knuckles away. Walk the feet up the wall, plow pose. Try to get my hips situated over my shoulders, and then one leg at a time towards the ceiling. Use my hands on my back body to support my hips shifting upward. So if you feel the vertebra of the upper spine pushing into the floor or into the folded mat, then keep trying to get the shoulder blades onto the back of the chest. That's the direction we're moving. So I'm not sure over time if you keep practicing with the upper vertebra pushing into the floor, then there might be some negative effect. I'm curious as to whether that might just be a place to start from. If it's wildly uncomfortable or painful, I would avoid it. So you might just find a place to have legs at the wall. As I said, the halasana or plow pose has a lot of similar benefits, I would imagine, as shoulder stand, as it's got a lot of this, just kind of like doing a forearm dog as opposed to going up into a headstand. Okay, something I'm focusing on here in shoulder stand is thigh bones away from the wall, tailbone lifting up. Also, I like to experiment with pointing the toes, bringing the feet together, flexing the feet. All slightly different effect. Okay, wherever you're at, let's come down for a brief plow pose. Feet at the wall, hips in the air, and then arms overhead. Remove the strap if it's there. Slide on down to your back. And reflect. Experience the residual energy from that shape. So again, this idea that there's the experience of being in the pose, there's the experience of resting right after the pose. What do you notice? Where do you notice in the immediate aftermath of that shape, of that asana? And then the soreness. If you are sore tomorrow, that's again a resounding effect of having done the pose. So when you're in it, you might not be aware of where you're really exerting effort, but then the next day when you feel those sore muscles, it's kind of a big indicator of like, hey, right here we were working hard on these muscles. Okay, elbows. If you're up on the padding of any manner, shift so that your head is on the floor and your shoulders are up on the padding. And now push your elbows into the padding, lift your head up, coming into a fish pose. So the legs might stay straight or the knees might bend, just arching the upper back away from the floor, opening up the throat. Traditional counter pose to shoulder stand. And now lift the head, lie on the back, and let's check the time. Okay. Roll out your mat once again. And back to our backs. Been here before, we'll be here again. And let's bring the left leg over the right leg, setting up for figure 4 pose. So left foot flex, ankle over the thigh, widen the left knee away as you bring the right knee in towards the chest, left shin in towards the chest. Experiment with interlacing the fingers behind the right thigh. If you want more sensation from this shape, you might interlace the fingers in front of the right shin to bring the left shin in closer. So we're slowing down here as we reach the closing of today's practice. And instead of, I don't want to say that and then your mind is off to the next thing. Please stay, mind and body. But we will not be exerting as much effort from here on out. So as you create the shape with your body, it may not require as much to stay in the shape, but we're using the shape to reconnect with the low back and the outer hip at this moment. You might shift the shin from side to side. You might even close your eyes as the gaze turns in.
Okay, so the option to stay here. Otherwise, you can hook the left foot into the right elbow, wrap the left elbow around the left shin, the left knee, to cradle the shin with the hands. And now extend the right leg straight and curl the chin and chest up away from the floor. This is kind of a lot of effort. Just to amend what I'd said earlier about less effort. So you might take any other modifications of this shape that you're familiar with. Targeting the left outer hip. And then right foot to the floor, head down, shoulders down, left foot to the floor. And we'll do the second side. Right ankle crosses to left thigh, keep the foot flexed, ankle straight. Draw the left thigh into the chest, interlacing the fingers behind the thigh or in front of the shin. You can use the right elbow to press the right thigh away, wind the right knee away to bring the right shin closer to the chest and parallel. Communicating, listening to the right low back, the right hip. Slow, deep breath. Intentional movement of energy through this shape. Option to cradle the foot in the left elbow, the knee in the right elbow. Extend the left leg straight as you peel the head, neck, and shoulders away from the floor. Again, taking any other modifications on this shape that you're familiar with or staying in the previous offering. Grimace, perhaps? Option to enjoy. Release the left foot, the right foot, the head and shoulders. Bring the knees in towards the chest, hug them in. So not quite curling into a ball yet. We're doing full wind removing pose by grabbing the hands, the wrists, or the elbows around the front of the shins and pulling the legs in. So creating this compression at the front of the hips, length through the lower spine. By pulling the legs in, heads of the arm bones down, can you feel more of the back body lengthening along the floor? And now take hold of the outer edges of the feet. Happy baby, side to side. And inner feet together, interlace the fingers, widen the inner thighs apart, flatten the low back against the mat. And now, bring it in for a nice hug. Man, it's good to hug myself, but I miss hugging other people. Chin to chest, forehead towards or to the knees. Squeeze the legs. And release. Okay, time to set up for Savasana. Take some time here. So just as we took the time to roll out our mats at the beginning of practice, to gather our things, we're going to take some time to dedicate to this shape. So I'm on a roll with legs up the wall. So if you like legs up the wall, join me in this practice. If you'd like lying on your back, if you like folding over a bolster in child's pose, if you goddess pose is another option here. So I'm taking a blanket folded at the wall, also could be a bolster. I'm taking my loop, making it a little smaller to go around my ankles. Hips to the wall, swing the legs up the wall. Just scooch my butt to the wall, take the strap around the ankles, and then I've started using an eye pillow. If you have a pair of socks or a blanket you'd like to cover yourself up with, or a friendly jacket, get those things. Invite yourself into this time, into this position, and find a way to feel supported. Supportive, safe space to let the body rest. Arms splayed at the sides of the body, palms soft, fingers unfurled. Scan the body for tension, for expression. And again, consider how that expression may provide some insight. Where is the tension? How is it held? How is it expressed? Enter this shape with the intention of listening, looking, and accepting. Let's begin to bring movement back to the fingers and toes. Reanimating the extremities of the body. If you have legs up the wall, you might slide them down the wall. If you have legs splayed, bend the knees, feet to the floor. Left arm along the left ear, roll to your left side. Transitioning from our Savasana into this child or this embryonic shape, fetal position. Reconnect with the breath. And as you're ready, push your way up to a seated position. I invite you to take your hands onto your heart. Experience the swell and ebb of your next breath. We'll close practice with a single sound of Om. Exhale and inhale for Om. Thank you for your presence, your patience, your focus throughout today's class. The light in me recognizes and bows to the light in you. Namaste. Thank you, live viewers and later streamers. Are you a streamer if you do it later? I'm not sure. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. As always, I encourage you to get in touch with me. Just say, hey, I did the class. You don't have to evaluate it if you don't want to. I'm open to evaluation. I'm open to criticism or suggestions. So yeah, reach out. I'd love to hear from you. I hope that this is a good start to your day. Yeah, got a lot of gratitude for you viewers. So thank you. Yeah, I plan to be here next week unless otherwise notified. I'll try to give as much notice on the website if I'm ever planning to skip a week. But if I can't give notice, I'll just let you know the day of. But I plan to be here tomorrow. I plan to be here next week, tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern Time. Next week, Monday and Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And again, Wednesday. Yep. Just keep chugging along. Love you guys.